Good day. The Synagogue of Saturn, that the real Messiah fought, invaded America in 1776. As the late John Trudel said, they brought the disease with them. They don't know it, those who are part of the church system, but they are part of the cult of Saturn. I mean, of course, the hierarchy is the problem, not the members, of course. And the Synagogue of Satan, who the real Messiah, who was not European looking, by the way, but Palestinian looking man, fought against. It can also be called Synagogue of Saturn. Of course, I'm not talking that the members are the real problem, but the hierarchy of the Christian religions. The Messiah never started a religion in the first place, not even Jewish religion. He was born in the Jewish religion. Okay, but he didn't start a religion. He came here to reconnect us with our Creator via a relationship, not a religion. I have studied Protestantism, between commas, and it didn't start well at all, either. I already mentioned Catholicism in the past, so this is not the topic of my video. Catholicism and Protestantism are simply the mother and her daughter, basically. With Queen Elizabeth I and King James, who authorize is a very important word, because when something is authorized by a man, you cannot rely on it as if it was the Creator speaking. Just the man who authorized it. So, King James, I restart. With Queen Elizabeth I and King James, who authorized the King James Version, while at the same time wrote a book about demonology, those psychopaths have double faces and double lives. And their slave ship, the Good Jesus, was the first slave ship coming to America. That's right. Queen Elizabeth I was not better than her half-sister Queen Mary, commonly called Bloody Mary, for they were both bloody queens. But Elizabeth was elevated to Gloriana, and her half-sister Mary demonized by being called Bloody Mary. But they were both bloody, and from this King Henri VIII, who was a psychopath blue blood, who made a cruel character assassination of his wife Anne Boleyn in order to murder her by having her head chopped off, since he had a real problem of procreation. In parentheses, those blue bloods have very particular things going on for them. And I'm referring to the elite here, not those who are among us, the general population, the human beings. So I'm not trying to demonize RH negative here, but the elite have earned their reputation over the centuries. End of the parenthesis. But was projecting, talking about King Henri VIII, was projecting his problem over his wives, So he married 6 of them in order to produce a male heir. But his young son died. He was not much older than 10 years old. So King Henry VIII was the adulterer and the sexual promiscuous. And Boleyn was the one who had her head cut off over this false accusations of being an adulterer and being sexually promiscuous. They do project themselves over their targets. With them, it's 100 degrees backwards from the truth always. Remember this. They bend everything 180 degrees backwards. The perfect witch hunt, that's right. Without mentioning that King Henry VIII was spreading venereal disease all over his kingdom for being sexually promiscuous, but I digress. Simply study the actions of Henry VIII and you will realize that this dude had no soul, nor heart, nor conscience. That's what differentiates them from us. Most of the psychopaths of today in those high position of power, I'm referring to the elite here, are the descendants of the giants that the Smithsonian Society is trying to hide to us. I mean, they are the Smithsonian are trying to hide the fact that we had giants prior to today, that the native nations have fought the giants. They are very brave warriors. Some people try to demonize Anne Boleyn, but this is clear evidence who had a problem between his 2 ears. This is not rocket science. If you study what really happened to Anne Boleyn, you will soon realize why the native Aboriginal people suffered terribly with this invasion of the British colonists. She went through a very cruel character assassination before being murdered. I wish to find it. Yes, Anne Boleyn went through a very cruel character assassination before being murdered by her predator, being her husband. Quote, "Did Anne have 6 fingers?" Nicholas Sanders, an English Catholic priest who was opposed to the Church of England and advocated the deposing of Elizabeth, made a number of claims about Boleyn, which were revoked and published after his death in the Origine et Progressus Schismatis Anglicani, The Origin and Progress of the English Schism, 1585. It must be noted that Sanders never knew or saw Anne at any point during her life. Sanders was the first to claim in print that Boleyn was deformed, giving her the features of a witch. His allegations included the claims that she was a nymphomaniac with an excess of lovers, and that she had a projecting tooth, and that she had 6 fingers, exactly, in one hand. All these features were traditionally associated with witches. In fact, her unearthed skeleton showed 10 fingers, all perfectly formed and slender. There is no contemporary evidence to support such allegations, despite their popularity and inclusion in many modern textbooks. End of the quote. Now back to the Synagogue of Saturn, or Satan. If you study what really happened to Anne Boleyn, you will soon realize why Native Aboriginal people suffered terribly with this invasion of the British colonists and secret societies. She was married to a criminally insane psychopath who was sleeping around and was spreading a venereal disease all over his kingdom. The type of kings they had in England before colonizing us is what we're talking about here. That's no wonder there was and is a genocide here. Insane, paranoid psychopaths, that's what they were. And King Henry VIII was a good example of this, without mentioning King James, but the topic of today is not King James, but King Henry VIII. Thanks for listening.